Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the REDX podcast, the best place for real estate professionals to learn from some of the best agents and coaches in the industry. My name is Andrew, and I am super excited for today's guest. We've got Corinne DeFilippis from Orlando, Florida, and she is going to be sharing her expertise. Well, first off, her story, because she's a first-time guest here, and we're going to be talking about daily schedule, habits, personal development, scripts, appointment setting, all that great stuff. We'll get into that. First, Corinne, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Andrew. I'm super excited to be here today.
Awesome. Well, we're so excited to have you. We'll jump into the good stuff in just a minute here, but first, a few items of business for our audience. As always, this is a participatory event. So if you have questions for Corinne, if you have comments, if you want to chime in any way, shape, or form, please do so, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube or LinkedIn, wherever you're at, chime in, let us know where you're from, say hi, and ask those hard-hitting questions. We're going to put Corinne on the spot maybe with a few of them, but I know she's going to be able to handle those because she is an expert, and we're super excited about that. As always, if you aren't subscribed to YouTube, if you don't follow us on Facebook, please go add those so you can get weekly notifications and updates about the show. And also you can find us on any podcast platform, Apple, Google, wherever you like to listen, so you never miss an episode. So, Corinne, let's jump in, and like I mentioned, let's get some background. What's your story? How did you get started in real estate, and how did you get to where you are today?
Absolutely. No, I really love starting by sharing my story with the goal that people listening who are going to be listening can do three things. They can realize, relate, and repeat. They're going to realize that we may or may not have a lot in common. They're going to relate to the commonalities that we have. And my goal is that they repeat the things that I have found to be the most successful. So I like to start off by saying I'm a baby realtor. I've been in this thing for 4 years, and I'm really excited to share what I've been able to accomplish in just those 4 years, just because so many people think to become an expert, to become what's called an overnight success, you have to do something for 10 years, 20 years. And I'm here to tell you that is absolutely not true anymore. You could do anything as fast as you want. You just really got to believe it and shoot for the stars. So I like to start with my childhood because I had an identity ever since I was 4 years old. I've had a medical history growing up, I feel like literally since birth. So I was actually diagnosed with a rare tumor to the spinal cord. It's called a pilocytic astrocytoma tumor. It affects 1 in a million children. So again, instead of using that as a crutch, I now label myself as that 1 in a million girls. So from 4, 5, and 6, I had 3 major intrusive surgeries. And after that, there was chemo, radiation. I spent my entire childhood basically in hospitals. And then in my early 20s, I was actually diagnosed with cancer. So I'm actually 29 years old right now. So ever since, for the last 29 years, I have been dealing with medical issues. I've been given reasons not to be the best version of myself that I could be. And I really like to use that as a reason that really makes me as strong as I am today, because I feel like if I can conquer that, I can conquer anything. And I always like to stay humble and grateful for the life that I have, because I always feel like someone else has it way worse than I did. So I actually went to college in UCF. So go Knights for anyone that went to UCF. And I was a criminal justice major because I like to say, I guess in real estate, we fight crime. So I had no intentions of doing real estate. I'm actually the first realtor ever in my family that I know of. And so, yeah, I just kind of went into it. How it actually started was the day that I was hired under the Department of Justice. I was actually diagnosed with cancer that same day. So it really just kind of put me in a position to make a decision. Do you start working? Do you just kind of do nothing? What are we going to do? So I really, really had that itch to work. So I actually got licensed as an insurance agent, which was honestly such a grateful moment, because that is why I'm in real estate. So in being in insurance, I got comfortable with being in sales. Now, I'd never been in sales before. I had jobs. I worked in retail. I went to school, but I'd never been in sales. I didn't know what I was capable of. I thought I was going to be fighting crime. So my boss at the time had put me in a sales department and put me just on the phones. He's like, I'm not going to give you scripts. I'm not going to give you leads. You're going to go on the phones. You're going to contact realtors and lenders and build their business. And I thought this man was crazy because I was like, what am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to do? But I just did it. I just took action. So I was on the phones. I built a huge book of business and insurance for home, auto, and business insurance. And he from there knew I was going to be an amazing realtor because I was just so good with forming relationships with people through the phones. Right. So he actually got me licensed and pushed me into the real estate industry. And I started my real estate industry 4 years ago, actually in the month of September. So we're almost on my 4-year real estate anniversary. And I always like to tell this story because a lot of people think if you had a really pretty start, that's why things look pretty now. I had the ugliest start to real estate possible. I was that person that thought, oh, it's going to be easy. Walk in, sell a home, bada bing, bada boom. It's all done. It was a slap in the face with reality. Not that real estate is not a very rewarding job, but it is not what I like to call easy. You have to be consistent. You have to be patient. You have to be smart with your finances. And I was none of that at the time. So my first deal, I allegedly did not put the contract on the closing date or didn't put escrow in until 3 days before. I just didn't do anything right. I would show up to the title company multiple times, telling them I was ready to close. They would keep telling me, hey, we can't close unless we have the package. So I would offer to go get the package from UPS server. I was lost. I had no idea what I was doing. And ironically, the listing agent who was on that side of the deal is now one of my coaches and mentors and team leaders now. And I've been on his team for the last 4 years. He saw something in me I didn't see in myself at the time. And I just went back into real estate. And from there, had a beautiful journey. I stuck with what I was good at, which was being on the phones, building relationships with people. And in my first calendar year after COVID, I closed just under $20 million in production as a agent. So I just really plugged and played with believing in myself, mindset shifts, which I'm excited to talk about that more as we get into that at the end, while I'm continuing to tell my story, because it's so important for people to understand that we are in the business of people. So if you don't feel good mentally, if you don't have the energy, it's going to show in your business. So I believe you have to perfect the person before you kind of perfect the business, right? So that's what I spent a lot of time after. I was surrounding myself with the right people, reading more books. I was listening to podcasts. I was just consuming myself with just knowledge of how to be the best version of myself and repeating that day in and day out. So of course, having a really amazing year in real estate, you want to, and kind of going from literally 0 to 20 million, it's kind of like, how do you scale that? So of course, the year after that is when interest rates just decided, which they didn't decide, it just happened to go from 3 till 6% interest rate overnight. And of course, my business suffered. I went from a $20 million producer to a $10 million producer. My income cut in half. And once again, I'm put in a position to sink or swim and make this decision on, am I going to continue or am I going to give up? And at kind of one of the worst places I felt like I'd been mentally, physically, spiritually, I ended up going to one of our real estate conferences, October of last year, and sat next to the person I hired as my coach. You guys may or may not know him. His name is Haas Pratt. And I hired him right then and there. And he's like, you got to use REDX. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to make these calls. You're going to call sellers. So I identified myself that day as a listing agent. And I literally quit calling buyers cold turkey that day. No pun intended that it was around Thanksgiving, but that's what I did. I identified myself as a listing agent. I started getting up at 6 a.m. I hired a coach. I plugged and played into the REDX system and got a list of sellers to call daily. And I just did that consistently day in and day out. And since 2023 has started, I've taken over 30 listings. And 8 months into the year with closed and pending sales, I'm just under $20 million in sales. So I'm super excited to see where the rest of the year goes, because we still got like 4 months left of the year. There's a lot of damage that could be done in these 4 months. So my story sharing that is to inspire people that this all begins today. This doesn't start in 2024. We're not going to make a New Year's resolution. We're going to do it now because we could still crush the rest of this year. So a lot of people probably ask me, all right, well, what are you doing every day? What's your daily schedule like? And it's really, really simple. 9 to noon. Whatever time zone you're in, 9 to noon, 5 days a week. That's it. It's so simple. When I found out that really was all that it took, was just taking that action daily, 5 days a week. I mean, my day, if I really wanted to, ends at noon. So, and I'm just intentional about who I'm reaching out to. I'm intentional about my mindset. So I wake up at like 5:45, 6 a.m. daily. And for those of people who aren't morning people, I wasn't a morning person either, but I did it because I knew that's what I needed to do to pour into myself first, whether you're working out, reading a book, meditating, spending time with family, writing in a gratitude journal, or just literally doing nothing. It's about yourself first. Then from 9 to noon, I'm in the jungle, I'm on the phones, I'm in the dirt, I'm in the trenches, and I'm reaching out to people. And I don't like to call it a cold call anymore because so many people have said, stop calling it a cold call. It really is reaching out to help people. So I get up every day and I ask myself, whose life am I going to bless today? Who is that family I'm going to talk to that needs my help, that maybe is in a position where they're frustrated, they're mad, they don't understand what's going on. They don't understand why their listing expired or why they couldn't sell their home by themselves or why things canceled or what's going on with the market. And you could just be honestly a savior to these people. So the reason I formed that schedule like that is because I hired a coach. That's what he did. And I don't reinvent the wheel. I just repeated what successful people have done. So if you're either a new agent right now, or you're an agent who's trying to get to that next level, or you're a team leader looking to kind of just give some good juice to your team, this is it. Start in the morning with yourself, do high leverage activities first, do the things you don't want to do the most first. So if I don't get up and do my workout or write in my journal first, I'm not going to do it at the end of the day. And if I don't do my calls first thing in the morning, I'm not going to do it at the end of the day. And I have the most amount of energy in the morning. And anytime I connect with the consumer on the other end, I really feel like they can feel that positive energy. And I treat people like people. I always like to say, you got to be more human more often, right? So unfortunately, in this industry, a lot of people are kind of have the wrong intentions. They're doing it for the wrong reason. They're doing it for all this money, for these designers, this cars. It's not about that first. It's about the people first. And then everything else kind of comes from that. So another special thing I wanted to say really quickly on the call that I wanted to just give back to the audience today, and I'll put this in. Can I put this in the chat and people in the studio can see it?
Yeah, totally.
So I'm going to put my email in here for everyone that's listening or everyone that's going to listen. And if you actually email me with the subject heading live calls, I'm going to respond back with some of my most recent and successful live calls that I've recorded, video or audio, for everyone who took actions on this call today or who's going to be watching this podcast. I'm going to send that over. So that's my work email. In the subject heading, put live calls, and I'm going to respond back with some live calls so you all can hear me in the zone. So it's funny because people will see when I'm making calls, I don't look the prettiest sometimes. I mean, I'm sometimes just PJs, no makeup, that's just me working. So I love for people to see how realistic this is. And some people who are listening to this, they might not have made a call to a person they don't know. And I like to compare it to, I guess we might still have a little bit of the hurricane going on right now. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
But the thing about calls is we really do it every single day, right? All roads lead to the phone in this industry. So when you got to negotiate an inspection, when you got to get an offer accepted, when you got to talk to a client, you're on the phone. So it's the same thing, but this is just intentionally prospecting to people, to consumers who need assistance with either buying or selling a property. So that the fear is really what's in the mindset. What are you telling yourself every day? So if you're getting up and you're about to make calls, you're like, oh my God, no one answered. Don't answer. That's what's going to happen. So I tell myself daily, who I'm meant to help today, they will answer. And if no one answers, I was not meant to help anyone today. I'm going to try again tomorrow. So I can't control the outcome of what's going to happen in 3 months. I can't. 6 months. No one predicted COVID in 2020. But I can control what I do every single day, what you as an agent does every single day. And that's the action that I take. 9 to noon. And then in the afternoon, all of it is my appointments. That's when I'm negotiating offers. That's when I'm responding back to a client. That's when I'm going on my appointments. So I know people want to hear about that. Should we talk about appointments right now, or you got me, Andrew?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first off, wow. I mean, it's what an amazing story, Corinne. I love it. I mean, everyone in the audience watching live is saying the same thing. It seems like the overarching theme up until this point has been what you said earlier, which is sink or swim, right? You've been presented with challenge after challenge and obstacle after obstacle over long periods of time, and even probably day to day on specific calls. And every time you have this amazing mindset, this amazing attitude of sink or swim. I'm going to swim. I'm going to go. I'm going to overcome. I'm going to keep working, and I'm going to work hard. And I think that is so important for so many agents to hear. Especially with, like you said, a lot of agents are like, oh, I'll get in, I'll be in for several years, and then I'll be successful, and then it'll be an easy ride. Well, you entered the industry at one of the easiest times in recent history, right? During the pandemic, when it was, you pick up a phone, you can make sales, right? Which is still true for you, obviously, but and then interest rates went up and things got harder, right? And again, sink or swim. So such an amazing, inspirational story. I love everything you've said so far, Corinne. So I just have a question about this 9 to noon schedule, right? You mentioned calling expireds. You mentioned calling for sell by owners. Getting granular on some of the other calls you have. Do you have a lead stack? Do you call specific leads at specific times of the day? What does that time frame 9 to noon look like? Breaking it down with different lead types, hour by hour, lead type by lead type.
Well, I'm here to be honest and add value. So believe it or not, I start with kind of the fresh new expireds first thing in the morning. And I know a lot of people are super hesitant on reaching out because they're like, oh my gosh, all these other agents are reaching out. I promise you, they're really not. I mean, there's a lot of people with that same mindset. I'll do it later. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. And, there are some of those agents that are hustling and making those calls, but it's a statistic that agents stop calling after the third attempt. Third. Yeah. It's not a lot. So a lot of the people I've been blessed to help this year, they were those new expireds. They were just fresh off the market, frustrated. And I went on these calls trying to identify what went wrong. I don't know. I'm just looking at the fact that the listing's expired. I need you to tell me what's going on. So I'm not trying to pitch them me. I'm trying to figure out what happened. Why are we here? And when people hear that kind of that tone that I'm not trying to sell them on something, which of course the goal is, we're real estate, we're in sales, but sometimes I don't even like to identify myself as in sales. I like to say that I'm in the industry of serving people at a higher level. So I just want to figure out what's going on, because anytime someone's looking to buy or sell, there's a reason. There's either a pain, there's either a pleasure. You're either getting married, divorced, having kids, you lost your job, you got a new job. Like, there's a reason. I need to figure out that reason, because if that reason is something that I can identify, then I can identify the solution. I can be that doctor. I can bridge the gap. So a lot of people, it's funny, so many people tell me, they'll say, I've got so many calls, but I answered yours. I got so many calls, but I answered yours. I really believe people are going to be connected for a reason. Like I said, I have this huge fate in my path. I don't worry about the outcome. I just worry about taking action and just being of value to people. So I call the new expireds first, and I set up systems. So I have systems set up utilizing CRMs that we all have access to, depending on what team or brokerage that we're with. And I set myself reminders on who to call to. I wake up having a list of who to call. And usually the first set is going to be those new expireds. Then some might fall into some from a few months ago. Some might fall into some from 6 months ago. I really mix it up, but I have a list. I have set up those systems. So each day I'm getting reminded of who to call, and I just do that 5 days a week. And I don't stray from that. I mean, I'm not that agent you're going to see making TikToks, and I don't even know how to make a TikTok. Honestly, I'm terrible at it. So I stick with what I'm good at, which is being on the phones. And what I don't want to hear an agent do is say, I'm not good on the phones because I'm scared to get on the phones. I mean, I got to try. I wish y'all would have seen me in the beginning doing this. I was hanging up on myself. I mean, I was saying the wrong names. I was butchering the day of the week. I mean, I was doing all the things wrong, but I just kept doing it, and practice really does make perfect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've got a lot of questions coming in about what we're talking about right now, Corinne. So if we can jump in and answer a few questions, then we'll jump back into some scripts and appointment stuff. Kelly asks a very big question that I hear a lot at REDX that I'm sure you encounter all the time. She says she makes a lot of calls daily. REDX, there's a lot of wrong numbers. There's a lot of wrong numbers with any lead service, right? I think everyone does the best they can, but it's big numbers, big data. How do you handle wrong numbers, Corinne? What do you do when someone you connect with someone and they say, sorry, not who you're looking for?
So one of two things. I want to figure out if it's actually the wrong number or if they're just telling me that. So I'll usually, if they answer and I ask them, is this the owner of so-and-so? Or some people say, hey, is this whatever their name is? If they go, no, wrong number. Okay, is this the owner of 123 Main Street? And if they still say no, you know what? Any lead source, I just want to say this, guys, any lead source, there's always going to be good and bad numbers.
Right.
Never perfect. If it was, we'd all be way richer than we are right now, right? But data is never perfect, but consistency, that could be perfect, right? You really could get that down to a T. But if it really is actually a wrong number, what I love about the REDX system is I'm able to go in, delete the number, and I'm in this on to the next mentality. And the good news is if I've deleted a wrong number, when I go back in, I'm not going to call that number again, or I can identify the number, label the number. If it's someone who's a family member, I can do all those types of notes. I'm very detailed with my notes on each person, but I have this really on to the next mentality because I know that no, wrong number is going to get me to that yes, right number, right? So.
Right. About the mindset, about the attitude, working for the yes, don't worry about the no's. I love that. I love that. Amanda Smith, a regular listener and viewer here, she asks, what suggestions do you have for time blocking your prospecting time consistently? You've already kind of answered this, 9 to 12 every day, right? But can you get a little bit more specific or help out Amanda out there?
Just ask yourself this, when do you feel the most productive? So some people might be night owls. They might feel like their energy is higher in the evenings, but I personally have seen time and time again the success with contacting individuals in the mornings. So most of us in the US have 9 to 5 jobs. So in real estate, we got to plug and play sometimes between 9 and sometime in the middle or the end of the day. So 9 to noon, I mean, we're blessed. We're blessed if that's really all that it takes to commit to. So time blocking, whether it's writing it down in your calendar, writing it down in front of your face, having a whiteboard behind you, you just commit to that 3-hour time for yourself, 0 interruptions. I mean, I'm turning all my notifications off. I'm kicking my dog out the door. No one's reaching me. So I just really, I label that as my money-making time, my prospecting time, my time to bless individual time. So nothing's getting in the way of that time. And it's not that much time, but it can do a lot of serious impact to you, your life, and your business.
Amazing. And I've heard other agents talk about this. This is a question I have. Other agents have brought this up. Do you know, I mean, I assume you track your numbers. Do you know as you're calling, as you're maybe going through some no's, or as you're maybe having a day where you don't make any contacts, do you know how much each call, yes, no, good, bad, is worth to you?
Absolutely. So just to be very transparent, I use the REDX system. I use the dialer that you have because it's a faster system that gets you through a little bit more of the phones. You know, you got to we live in the 21st century. We really got to utilize technology. And I'm in that hour, a 3-hour block, I would say to get one appointment, because that's my goal, is to get one appointment a day face to face with the consumer, 200 calls.
200 calls to one appointment.
200 calls to one appointment is I would say the average, right? Because there are some days I'll make one call in an hour, like I did an hour ago before this podcast, and I set an appointment within the first 10 calls for 5 p.m. today, right? So it's that daily consistently, but if I had to average it out, just studying myself and my business the last year, it's 200 calls a day.
200 calls a day. Okay, wonderful. A lot of people are asking about scripts, and I know that that's one of the topics we wanted to talk about today, something we're getting into. So let's talk about scripts. Do you have a script? What do you use? What do you say on the phone? A lot of people are wondering this.
Well, for all the people who are on here, I better be getting an email from y'all saying live calls. I'm going to put it in the chat, what you put the subject heading, because I'm going to actually share my live authentic calls with you today. But I ask a lot of questions. So I'm not even going to call it a script. I'm going to call it a list of top tier questions you have to be asking these people. You got to get a little bit more curious, and you got to be that doctor. You need to bridge the gap and understand what went wrong the first time, depending on the type of consumer you are reaching out to, right? I mean, when you have a sphere or a referral, it's a lot easier to bridge the gap because they reached out to you. So if we're talking about when you're reaching out to people, for example, with an expired or for sale by owner, I'm getting curious. What went wrong? Why are you trying to sell? How many showings did you have when you were on the market the first time? Did you get any offers? If you got any offers, how low were the offers? Were they just right? What was the feedback on the offers? If you're selling this home, where are you going to next? What was the agent doing to market the property the first time? How many family members are in the house? Are they all moving out there with you? What cosmetic work have you done to the house? How do you feel about how do you feel the property is priced for the market? I mean, I'm just going deep on questions. So if I had to break that down real quick in regards to an expired call, if I was calling you, Andrew, and I was like, Andrew, I see your property at 123 Main Street's expired. I'm just curious, why didn't this property sell?
Well, I don't know. You'd have to ask my last agent. They said they were doing everything they could for me, but it just didn't sell.
Okay. Well, I mean, this looks like an awesome home. I'm actually a little confused myself why it didn't sell. When you were on the market, did you have like a lot of showings when you were on the market the first time?
Yeah, we had a few showings. I think we did 1 or 2 open houses. Yeah.
Okay. Did any offers?
No offers.
So you didn't get any offers. Did you get any feedback from those showings on why they didn't submit an offer?
If we did, it went straight to my realtor, and we didn't really hear much from them. They weren't great at communicating, but they kind of handled everything. So
got it. Do you know why? Do you know what the agent was doing personally to market your property when you guys were on the market?
yeah, I mean, they said they were making phone calls. They said that they were on social media. We did the open houses. Other than that, I'm not entirely sure.
Okay. So I see you guys were on the market for about 6 months. You had a few showings, but you had no offers. I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it still to get this home sold? I mean, is there a certain reason why you're selling it?
Yeah, we're trying to move. Kids are out of the house, and we're trying to move in and be closer to some family on the other side of the country. So really, it's just a big empty house, and we're trying to downsize a little bit and be close to family.
Okay. So it sounds like on that scale, 1 to 10, where would you rate it at this point?
Probably a 7 or 8.
Okay. So, I mean, at this point, do you feel you and your wife are in a position where you want to interview some aggressive agents to see if you can actually get this done this time, get closer to your goal so you can move out and move in with some family?
I mean, I guess we're just a little bit, disappointed and quite frankly exhausted. I mean, we've been so ready to move for the last 6 months that now that we're not moving, we've just kind of settled back in again, and we're kind of we feel a little bit stuck here. So
no, listen, I mean, here's what I'd like to do for you, Andrew, just because it sounds like a weird niche, but I actually like to say I specialize in selling homes agents fail to sell the first time. That's kind of what I do every single day. So I'd love to do a market analysis on this property and give you my honest opinion from an expert on what actually went wrong. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear to get the listing. If anything, I hope this conversation is just going to add value. What's your schedule looking like tomorrow at 3? I'm actually going to be in the area. I'd love to stop by and meet with you and your wife and show you what went wrong the first time, but also my marketing plan. I got a really unique marketing plan, and it's been proven to sell homes twice as fast for the most amount of money. And I also want to show you my easy exit agreement. So I actually don't like to hold people to a contract. If someone's not happy with my services, they can actually fire me at any time. So I'll be in the area tomorrow at 3. I'd love to show you all this. Are you going to be available around that time?
Yeah.
Perfect. So my calendar does fill up. So I'm going to put you in tomorrow at 3 p.m. and be in the area and meet you guys there and show you, just like I said, show you, is this still a goal you guys can reach? So Andrew, I really, really appreciate your time today, and I got you in the calendar, and I'll see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. Okay.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Awesome.
There it is. Great role play, Corinne. That was awesome.
There it is. Awesome. There's always a little bit more that goes into it, but that
right.
was we can get on.
Right. I never know how many objections and how much push, but like Corinne said, she is, live calls, right? So email her and you can jump on some live calls with her. That was amazing. And it's just as simple as that, right? And I think you hit the nail on the head with asking questions, right? Yep. It's not about, you did tell me how qualified you are at the end there, but it was after you digging into me and my needs and my problems, right? I think a lot of prospects pick up on sales breath and pick up on like, okay, you're just trying to sell me. You just want my money. As opposed to, oh, you're genuinely concerned about me. You're genuinely interested in me. Right. And I think that's a great way to do it, Corinne. So thank you for that. We have a question here from someone in Orlando, a local there with you. Do you use email templates for the leads that are not ready to sell yet?
Yeah. I mean, I do believe you got to have systems set up for not only, because there are some days that life happens, right? You might not be on that 9 to noon call, but you still got to have a business running. So I do have systems set up. I leverage my CRMs. I leverage text message. I leverage emails. And the beautiful thing with REDX and with some of the features REDX has, you can get access to not only phone numbers, but emails, and plug and play those into systems. So now you're kind of hitting consumers at a bunch of different angles. I mean, I can't tell you all that I don't door knock. It's just not my thing. And I know a lot of agents have grown their business with door knocking. I just don't do it. So what I do is get in front of consumers' faces and add value. And back to that role playing that we just did, when you mentioned I was digging into questions, I also provided solutions. I provided letting you know I have my marketing plan. I have an easy exit agreement. I'm going to let them know about the market. And I had solutions. I was that doctor once again. So when you're constantly adding value to the community, I try to sell, but you're adding value to the community in multiple ways. That's just how you continue to grow your book of business.
Absolutely. And speaking of adding value, someone has a great question here, very relevant. Corinne, what is your unique selling proposition? Why would an expired seller choose you over the other agent, specifically you, Corinne?
Absolutely. Well, let's say I've never sold a home a day in my life, right? So I'm not going to leverage the 30 listings I've taken this year.
Sure.
I do, but I have solutions. I have a marketing plan. Guys, you can create a marketing plan. You can create, name it whatever you want. It's something that helps you stand out. I don't bring a CMA to the appointment. I'm not bringing this beautiful, like, this is my company's name, boss Corinne the realtor. I'm not bringing any of that. I'm bringing a solution. This is how homes sell. Homes don't sell because of the way my Instagram looks. Homes don't sell because of a TikTok. Like, homes sell because you have solutions, you have data. So I'm bringing that marketing plan. I'm bringing my easy exit listing agreement, my communication guarantee. I'm bringing my commission tier structure. I have multiple commission tiers. I'm just bringing all these things that I know that no one else has besides me, because I crafted it. So craft your own set of solutions, and that is how you stand out. And I can't stress enough that I'm just more human more often. I mean, many, many times where people listen to my classes or they listen to my calls, they're like, you just sound human. You just sound like you're genuinely trying to help. So again, you can't have that commission breath or just force people to do things they don't want to do and put their back against the wall. You just got to be human and be helpful. So that's what I do to stand out.
Amazing. I love that. So we're running up on time here, Corinne. I think we could keep talking for another hour or two. This has been, time has flown by. This has been such an amazing podcast. Before we wrap up though, I want to give you just one more chance. Obviously we're going to have you back on the podcast. We'll dig into more topics, dig into more scripts and more tips and tricks. But today, one last thing, if you could leave it with the audience, what would that be?
Oh, actually I wrote this down. So, because we're in such crazy times, especially post-pandemic, and there's been just so much negativity in the air and just so much stuff on the internet and just so much this, so much that. And we're going to simplify it. Just take action. Start now. And because you do it one day, you do it 2 days, you do it 3 days, you do it 4 days. The fact that I just started this feels like this journey just 4 years ago, and how much has changed and the amount of lives I was able to impact. Like, you taking that action is not only going to impact other people's lives, this is going to impact your life, your family's life, your future family's life. Like, you got to identify your purpose. So if you don't identify your purpose, you need to draw it out on a picture, put it up against a wall, hide it in a shoebox. I don't care, but you got to identify your purpose, and you got to use that as a reason why you should get up and do this every single day, because your whole world will change. And so I hope my story, my struggles, my wins are motivating to the people watching this, and they're going to get up and they're going to take action daily. And first action step is going to be emailing me, and I'm going to send you some calls. And you guys can just continue on from there. It's just one day at a time and taking action daily.
Amazing. I love that. Thank you so much, Corinne. Amazing advice. Like she said, please email her, get that advice, join those live calls, get some tactical tips and tricks, learn from the experts here, learn from Corinne. Thank you, Corinne, for joining us today. Thank you for sharing everything that you've shared. We are definitely going to have you back. I've shared your email and the subject line that you want them to include a couple times here. So they'll send that over if they're looking for that. From me, as we wrap up here, again, if you're not subscribed on YouTube, if you're not subscribed on Facebook, please check that out. Join in every week. We have amazing guests like Corinne every Thursday at 1:30 Mountain Time. We actually, starting today, have a brand new podcast offer. If you liked what you heard from Corinne and you want to implement some of the same strategies and tactics and systems she used, a big part of that is REDX. Go to www.redx.com/podcast. And you can save $150 when you sign up for REDX. So go check that out. Email Corinne. Corinne, again, thank you so much. We'll have you back on again soon. And to everyone else, I hope you have a wonderful day and happy prospecting.
Thank you. Bye.